How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the Georgia Senate runoff election results. There was a regular election back in November with the presidential, but the issue is that nobody in either of the two elections were able to get enough votes to secure their victory. In Georgia, you must have above 50% of the vote to win. That's how it is. It's not just based upon who gets the most votes. If it were based upon who got the most votes, then Raphael Warnock would have won against Kelly Loeffler because the GOP vote was split between Loeffler and Doug Collins. But even if you added their votes together, it still wouldn't have been enough to secure a victory. It would have been like 45.9%, and you got to get to 50%. Now, in the case of David Perdue versus John Ossoff, Perdue would have won, but he did not get, he almost got 50%. It was like 49.84. So he got more votes than John Ossoff, but he didn't get 50%, which is what you need. So here we are with a special election to figure out who the actual winner is going to be. They took the top two people from each race, which was obviously Raphael Warnock and Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue and John Ossoff, put them against each other, and here we are. Now, in the Ossoff versus Perdue, it's looking like Ossoff, the Democrat, is in the lead and he probably will win. It's not been called yet as of right now at about 11 a.m. Eastern time, but he's probably going to win that race, unfortunately. Now, in the Kelly Loeffler versus Raphael Warnock, Warnock has already been called to win. That was called last night, I think late last night by most every media source. So it's looking like both races are going to be won by the Democrats, which is devastating because if that happens, then Democrats control the Senate. All right, let's zoom out a little bit to see what's going on so you understand how important this race in Georgia was. If Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, however you want to order them, if they're able to become inaugurated and become the president and vice president, then the Democrats will have the presidency, all right? If Ossoff and Warnock maintain their victory, then the Democrats will maintain the Senate. And the Democrats already had the House, although there were plenty of House seats that were flipped to the Republicans. It still wasn't enough to overcome the Democrats. So you have a trifecta: Democrat presidency, House, and Senate. So whatever they want to do, for the most part, will go through. Now, there may be some moderate Democrats that kind of fight against it to say, hey, you can't really do that or whatever. But for the most part, Democrats all vote together. And even if you have every Republican that votes together, it won't really be enough to overcome whatever they want to do on a federal level. Now, the saving grace is that you still have a lot of states that are pretty deep red. And there are certain things you can't force upon a state from the federal level. But there are some things you can, like the federal minimum wage. That's going to be a big time problem. If they move forward and do the whole Fight for 15 thing, that's going to kill a lot of middle class, and it's going to be devastating. It'll help the big corporations, of course. It's the same way that this whole virus shutdown has helped big corporations, all right? Because Walmart can afford to pay $15 an hour. They'll lose billions of dollars, but they got billions of dollars to lose, so it's not really a big deal. But a regular mom and pop shop, a shoe store, a eatery, or just some small business, they can't afford that, so they'll go under. All right. It's the same way that they couldn't stay open during the pandemic, the scamdemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, but Walmart could. So all their traffic, when they're shut down, will simply go to the big box stores that were allowed to stay open. That'd be the same thing as having a higher minimum wage. All right. Now, this is going to be a problem, obviously, but it won't be the end of the world. However, people are starting to point a finger at each other. There's a lot of blame that's being put on the back of Donald Trump. They're saying, hey, you didn't believe in the election. You said that fraud was going on. Therefore, you encouraged the base in Georgia to not come out and vote. And that's why the Republicans lost, because you said don't come out and vote. You fought against the election. But wait a minute. Let's just pause for a minute. Even if Trump didn't say anything about the election being fraudulent, I mean, we see what's going on. We see, the videotape, ballots under the table, big tech censoring stuff. We see that. So If Trump didn't say anything about it, then people will be attacking Trump for not saying something about it. All right. This is a movement that is not really under Trump's control. All right. Trump may have been the catalyst behind the kind of like anti-establishment movement, but it's not under his control anymore. It's up to the people, really. So if he didn't say anything, people still would have said something about the fraud and stuff like that that's going on. We see it with our own two eyes. So you can't blame Trump for that. Trump never said to not go out and vote. As a matter of fact, he said, "Look, I understand you're passionate and whatnot, but please go out there and vote. I need you to go out there and do that for me, for us, for the country. That'd be fantastic. Go out there and vote Purdue and Loeffler." Okay, I think the bigger issue here is big tech, obviously, because they are really influencing elections in a very big way. They're putting out favorable things for the Democrats, not so much for the Republicans. They're censoring stories that will hurt the Democrats, not so much for the Republicans. They are a big reason why this whole thing is played out the way it has. And also, there's a demographic shift in Georgia. Same thing happened in Virginia. When I was a kid, I remember Virginia being deep red. Deep red. You couldn't change it. And then over time, I say like right around the Bush era, going into the Obama era, I saw a change. I started to see it go more purple, and then it became solid blue. And the reason for that is not because of a president, President Trump, President Bush, President Obama, not because of any kind of president directly. It's because of Washington, D.C. sprawling into Northern Virginia. Back in the day, if you lived in if you worked in D.C., you lived in Maryland. That's pretty much how it worked. You didn't go across the Potomac. You pretty much stayed on the other side. But now, Northern Virginia is becoming the bedroom of Washington, D.C. As government expands, as government-related things expand, so does Northern Virginia. And that is the root of all Virginia's problems as it relates to being red at one point and now becoming blue. That is the issue right there, not anything else. It's the same thing happening in Georgia. Atlanta is expanding. Fulton County, Cobb County, DeKalb County, all these places are becoming more and more blue, deep blue, and that's affecting the entire state. That is a problem. All right, that's the issue, pure and simple. And people come from all over the country, California, New York. They're coming down there. Also, during this whole pandemic, scandemic, whatever you want to call it, people are moving away from the northern states where everything is locked down to where things are not quite locked down. They're moving to Georgia, Florida, Texas, etc., and you're starting to see changes. I said it during the election, on election night in November. I was like, look at what's going on with Arizona and other parts, Colorado, even Texas. You got the California virus, as I call it, spreading. People are leaving California because, my taxes and this, that, and the third, it costs much to live. And they leave California, then vote the exact same way they did in California. This is why Austin is a California enclave. Oh, Austin is nice. I want to go to Austin. I don't want to stay in Texas anymore. Joe Rogan, prime example. Joe Rogan, big time weed smoker, kind of a liberal guy, a little bit. You think he's going to be some kind of stone cold, stomp down conservative, or no? He does not want to pay all them taxes in California. He does not want to have these crazy lockdowns and crazy costs of living. But at the same time, he does not really want to be in Rome and do as the Romans. That's why he goes to Austin. It's a California enclave. The same thing is happening with Atlanta, with Northern Virginia, with other parts like New York City, same way. That's what's going on right now. So I think the bigger issue here is a demographic shift from other parts of the country, not even immigration, but other parts of the country. That's a big part of what's going on. Then they want to say Big Mama Stacey Abrams is the reason why these seats got flipped. Oh, Stacey Abrams, Black Girl Magic. They got these weird candles featuring Stacey Abrams on the front. I'll place it on the screen before you. Not sure what's going on there. Is this satanic? Is it angelic? I can't really tell. Y'all tell me, but I'll move right along. They're saying that she did it and she's the reason. I think that's white liberals like Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan, who posted the picture that I saw originally. I think it's white liberals like this that are trying to give black women the bone to encourage them to go out there and vote more and more for the Democratic Party. Although the Democratic Party will do nothing but just the same old thing they have been doing, All right, reducing the middle class and bolstering the poor class. You understand? So it's going to be a big gap between the rich and the poor. It's happening right now in California. Look at what's happening. You got the uber rich that make hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars a year. San Francisco, like San Fran, you can't get a house for less than $1 million. Okay, so you have the uber wealthy, the uber rich, and then the serfs, the peasants. You know, the people that are no more than the servants of the upper class. Middle class is gone. Those that want to go out there, make a way for themselves and work with their hands and start a business, that's gone in California for the most part. It exists in small pockets, but for the most part, it ain't there. Either you're going to be wealthy or a servant. That's kind of how the Democratic Party view you as people. That's why they focus so much on the minimum wage and stuff like that, because they want you to be on that whole system, okay? Rather than it being Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, or whatever, minus the whole vaccine. But anyway, rather than being a self-motivated person, a self-starting person, a wealthy person, you can be just a servant. You can be waiting on the government, and just waiting on them to feed you. And one more thing here, they want to blame Mitch McConnell because of the whole, the checks thing, the $2,000. It's not his fault, because Democrats, they just want to keep more and more pork, giving it to foreign countries, and then on top of that, give more money that we don't have to people. All right. The Republicans would like for the bill to be thin, not have all the pork, and give direct money to the people, but the Democratic Party doesn't want that. So why are you going to blame him? And it's funny how these states had you locked down for months and months and months, while Amazon, Costco, Walmart, Food Line, etc. were allowed to stay open. You got to stay closed for months. Let's say you made, like $30,000 a year normally working. So if you were out of work for 6 months, let's just say, aside from unemployment benefits, you lost $15,000 for not being able to work for that period of time because of what the state did. So they want to just ignore that part where you lost 15,000, 20,000, 50,000 and say, hey, blame Mitch McConnell because he doesn't want to give you $2,000. What about the 30,000 that I missed? Or the 15,000 that I missed? What about that? Don't worry about the bigger number. Don't worry about that you should have been able to earn on your own hard work. Don't even worry about that. Worry about the $2,000 that he didn't want to give you out of your own money. Okay, that's what's going on. So as I close, I want to say this. Don't blame Trump. Don't blame Mitch McConnell. You got to look at what's happening in the country. And the reality is, if people want to throw Trump under the bus, understand this. If not for Trump, you would have had Hillary Clinton for 8 years. That's facts. Nobody would have been able to defeat her in the 2016 election. Love Ben Carson, love Ted Cruz, but they'd be no match for the social media machine, the establishment machine. She would have been the president, period. That was the plan. They had all the ducks in a row, but they didn't account for Trump. So now they're trying to go back and fix the problem that they already had on the books. Okay, there's fraud and everything that happened, of course. That's a big reason. But I think there's a deeper and darker swamp that extends beyond Washington, D.C. that we got to really figure out what to do with. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's the reason why these results happen? Give me a reason. Is it because of demographic shift? When I say demographics, I don't mean race. I mean the liberals moving from other parts of the country down to Atlanta, Georgia, because that's really the problem. Atlanta, Fulton County, that's the issue right there. Is it because of the cheating? Is it because of a little bit of all the above? You guys pretty much know where I'm at with it, but whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.